1999 saw the release of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Created by legendary game designer Chris Sawyer, the smash hit inspired the dev team of ex-Papyrus devs Blue Fang Games to create their own Tycoon game. An interview with former Blue Fang devs uncovered that the team originally wanted to make a game about airports, which I'm glad they didn't give me the timing. Then President Hank Howey was thinking of a better idea. While an airport might sound good, airports aren't usually fun places to be in, and people are usually stressed out. Roller Coaster Tycoon's greatest strength was building the ultimate theme park, which is fun going to in real life. One of their employees, Brian Shea, suggested, "Whoa, that's ahoy. Hey, what about Zoo Tycoon?" Howie loved it. But there was a problem. Their engineer John Wheeler, who was also one of the co-founders of Blue Fang along with Adam Levesque, was still attached to the airport tycoon concept. So Howie hatched a plan. He told Wheeler to pitch the airport idea to Brian Shea the next day, knowing that Shea would counter with the zoo concept. The plan worked perfectly. Wheeler came back running to Howie's office, exclaiming, "You won't believe this! Guess what Brian said? Zoo Tycoon!" Howie played along. "John, that is a great idea. That's fantastic. I'll love it." By making Wheeler think the whole zoo idea was his discovery, they got the whole team unified behind what would become their breakthrough game. After hunting for publishers, Microsoft's newly formed Life Games division was the perfect match. They had actually already been brainstorming on a zoo-themed game before Blue Fang even pitched. Some may call it destiny. Howie knew they had something special when he completely lost track of the time while playing. Hours would disappear without even him realizing it. That time warp effect he felt told him that the game was ready. And the rest was history.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my! Watch your step, it's a zoo in here! With Microsoft Zoo Tycoon, the cagey new resource strategy game, you're in charge. What will you do to build the world's coolest zoo? Don't hold back, release your inner animal. Where do you start? Anywhere you want. Put in a few pens, couple of animals, maybe a zookeeper. It's simple to learn. What could be tough? You've been going to the zoo since what? You were a kid. Don't forget refreshment stands. You gotta make money to have more exhibits. Hey, what are you, nuts? You can't put gazelles in with the lions? The lions don't mind, but the gazelles aren't gonna be happy campers. Rule number 1, keep the predators away from the prey. If you work it right, you might get a shot at a giant panda. But only if you play by the rules. Build a better zoo, manage your finances, and keep your animals happy. If they're happy, your guests are happy. And if your guests are happy, that, my friend, is how you become a zoo tycoon. Whoa, hey guys, we can work this out, right? Didn't I take that thorn out of your paw when you were a cub?
Zoo Tycoon was one of the first video games I have ever played. And despite being the first game, it's no one-hit wonder with a good sequel coming out years later. But I didn't play this version as a kid. Or this version. Not even this version. But this for some reason. When I was replaying the game for this review, and for the longest time, something felt a little off. Although I get to experience the game's expansions later on in my late teens, I had memories of a zoo tile terrain in a worn-down pizza stand that had a sprite of a guy hitting his head on the counter. I looked it up, and it turns out, I was playing a sort of beta version of the game. But the problem was that I couldn't even prove it. I can't just spout things I barely remember with that version of Zoo Tycoon on a CD with a zip file in it as a kid without any proof. I couldn't even find a CD anymore. I thought I was going crazy. But then, I found a copy sitting right under my nose on the Internet Archive, and it turns out, it's the one. So what did the beta include? Did it contain development secrets lost to time, with groundbreaking discoveries that can shake the entire Zoo Tycoon community at its core? Yeah, no, not really. It was just a game with fewer features. You may wonder how I got this copy as a kid. While it would have been way cooler to say that my dad worked at Blue Fang or I hacked into Blue Fang HQ, I actually got a bootleg CD. And I have zero idea how the guys making the CD got their hands on a copy like this. Video game stores for PC weren't exactly prominent in where I lived, so any CD of the game I got was actually just a bootleg that bypasses the insert disc DRM. From games to movies, people here sell bootlegs all the time anyway. But for some reason, I enjoyed this version of the game so much without even knowing that it's not even the original version. That's a testament to the quality right there. So I'll be showing what kind of zoos I built as a kid in this beta prototype-ish version of Zoo Tycoon.
Our son kept bringing home stray animals, and not just dogs. Things were getting out of hand. We were so relieved when we bought Zoo Tycoon for our computer. It lets us create and manage our very own zoo. Now we can take the zoo home without taking the zoo home. And with Zoo Tycoon Complete Collection, creating the ultimate zoo is now 3 times the fun. Rated E for everyone.
While a lot of things in the beta are very similar to the final game, the first thing to notice here is that the logo on the title screen is way different from what the games usually show. I personally like this logo, but the iconic gold text is absolutely unbeatable. Looking at the animals here, some of them don't have their Zoopedia photos yet, and some of them needed a new icon. Oh hey, the Shift Force cheat works in this version. That's the money cheat. So as I'm working on the White Tiger exhibit here, some of the features in the final game weren't even here yet, like the ability to click and drag the mouse to delete multiple objects. You can see me trying to do it right here. Fast forward into making my food park, I got to be reunited with Begging Head Guy. There he is, in all of its glory. And it was actually just a burger stand. The terrain tools feature some cut content here, with terrain like running water, swamp, and waterfall, which didn't make it on release. And here, we finally have our white tigers. Zoo Tycoon was notorious for having the pickiest animals ever when making their exhibits. Knowing what your animals like and didn't like was a struggle during development. When the Blue Fang devs realized that the game had terrible feedback systems during playtesting, the players couldn't even tell if they were doing well or poorly. In a heated meeting, co-founder Adam Levesque sarcastically snapped, "And what do you want me to do? Do something good, use a smiley face, and when you don't, use a frowny face?" Oh yeah, let's try that. And those simple feedback icons became a core feature of the game. As seen here, the rock formation hasn't been integrated into the animal's needs, so they're not affected by it. And of course, it's not a crazy Tanger zoo without an elephant, and we gotta add those elephants. The way I used to do elephant exhibits was pretty much what a lot of zoos do with theirs, especially with the moats. But I didn't even know about it at the time, so I was just following Manila Zoo's elephant exhibit. And for old time's sake, I added giraffes, cause it's nice that they have friends. And voila! This is the type of zoo one I made when I was like 5 years old. I had a lot of fond memories here, even in this version. My dad plays Zoo Tycoon as well, and he wrote my name using the pads on this zoo. It was so epic. I might do a deeper dive into this version, but I'll leave that to the Zoo Tycoon veterans to look through it. In essence, it's pretty much the usual video game beta. A beta I somehow got my hands on. Now with that out of the way, let's move on to the zoo game that aged like fine wine. But what exactly made Zoo Tycoon so special that people are still playing it for over 20 years later? And why do modern zoo games still struggle to capture what Blue Fang nailed on their first try?
Honey, are you doing your homework?
Yeah, I'm doing my zoology project.
If you like animals, you'll love Microsoft Zoo Tycoon. Now featuring the ultimate dino park with Dinosaur Digs expansion pack, or create a fun-filled water world with Marine Mania. Build the exhibits, adopt the animals, and attract the crowds. Get it right and you'll be a tycoon. Mess it up and you'll be in the monkey house. The wildest PC game you can play just got even wilder. Microsoft Zoo Tycoon Complete Collection. Rated E for everyone.
If I were to compare Zoo Tycoon to an album, it would probably be Weezer's Blue album. Both the game and the album were the first of its respective creators, and it got big on its first run. You can say Zoo Tycoon 2 is like Pinkerton in a sense, but not really. But that's for another video. But what made that first Zoo Tycoon album, game, so perfectly crafted? Back in the 90s and 2000s, it wasn't uncommon to see games with the isometric perspective. It's used in Fallout 1, Postal 1, Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, and of course, Zoo Tycoon 1. Even though video games progress graphically through the years, it's nice to look back to see if the old ones age like fine wine or like milk. Zoo Tycoon takes on a more realistic approach when it comes to their art direction, in contrast to the sequel's bright and cartoony art style. It's cool how Blue Fang managed to give the shelters a more neutral yet distinguished look in their design, since you're placing them on different terrains for different animals. So it was pretty much necessary to make sure that the shelters blend in well with lighter colored terrain, or be visible enough to be seen on in darker ones. Plus the weathered looking wooden wall stains are also a nice touch for realism. Each building has its own theme going on in the base games, whether it's the default, rainforest, Arctic, Mexican, and East Asian theme. Theme buildings were also prevalent in the later two expansions, such as Marine Mania's nautical and Atlantean theme, as well as the prehistoric theme in Dinosaur Digs. Dino Digs has a lot of Jurassic Park Islands of Adventurous buildings, which is pretty cool. I also love the movie theater a lot. Looking at the older screenshots of the game, coming from the alpha and the beta, and anything else in between, you could tell that they added a lot of thought into their designs. There's also a kudzu administration building by the entrance, and I thought that would be cool if we had them in the actual game. But it would be ultimately useless considering the UI provides the management stuff like finances, attendance, ratings, and any other stuff. Zoo Tycoon 1's UI is great for its simplicity, and you could tell that they tried and tested some other options until they ultimately resorted to the final product. I never realized how much I took Zoo Tycoon's UI for granted. In fact, I took both 1 and 2's UI for granted. One thing I appreciate in the UI as well is that for a literal toddler like me back in the day, but didn't even know how to read well at the time. I didn't even get lost when I navigated the game. It's not the greatest thing in the world, since Zoo Tycoon 2 made the UI much more accessible. The UI icons are memorable, and iconic. And it gives you the epic neuron activation. The animals are what could make or break a zoo game. And I'm not talking about the roster, but how they're handled in the game. You could have a cool elephant, but what does it do other than walking from point A to point B? Zoo Tycoon knows what you want. Is that to build your epic zoo or to kill everyone? With that, the game doesn't waste your time on more realistic things like heaters, coolers, plant care. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Wildlife Park. Zoo Tycoon suspends your disbelief for your enjoyment. Like when Home Alone 2 has Kevin throwing a brick off a very tall building and landing on Marv's prefrontal cortex, while only leaving a very small mark. It's not realistic, sure, but it's fun. Fun isn't necessarily realism, but rather enforcement. But realism should be used to reinforce and enhance the player's experience and believability. Zoo Tycoon doesn't try to be hyper-realistic, but that's a good thing anyway. Too much realism can bog down the fun. Instead, it uses just enough realism to enforce the player's imagination. Sure, you can have something completely illogical like an Arctic exhibit in the middle of a desert, but the art direction gives the game some verisimilitude and still make it feel like you're seeing a real zoo. I guess the biggest complaint I've heard about Zoo Tycoon 1 compared to Zoo Tycoon 2 is the animal care. The sequel holds your hand at basically everything in the animal panel, while Zoo Tycoon 1 needs you to mix and match terrain, add more animals, and place a required amount of foliage, or else the zoo gods will ban you from ever adopting an animal ever again. And yeah, even after the beta, these animals are still really picky. With the foliage part, there's also a technique called clustering, if you prioritize animal comfort instead of aesthetics. But either way, the choice is all yours. That's the best part of the game as well. Even though the goal is to become the ultimate Zoo Tycoon, the game encourages you to eschew chaos as well. It's also said right there in the tutorial. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and I like that. I personally have no problems with the animal roster, since I do think it's solid from the get-go. Despite being 2D sprites, the animals look great, and the animations slap. Whether if it's just an animal walking, an orca doing tricks, granted some of them aren't that realistic, but the devs took some liberties to give their animals their own character. It's also cool to see that Blue Fang doubled down and commissioned 3D models from Bulgarian studio Japan. For reference, from living animals to dinosaurs, even if you don't dig the designs. And speaking of extinct animals, Dino Digs is awesome, and I dig this expansion a lot. Dino Digs keeps things grounded in the sense that you have to hatch dinosaurs first instead of adopting them directly, which validates the additions of scientists into your zoo. It's a nice touch that games like Parkasaurus keep some Dino Digs element in it as well, while doing their own spin on the overall style. It's pretty hard to take care of your dinosaurs, and it gets harder for larger carnivores when they grow older. Or maybe that's just a scale issue, I don't know. Even though some other large carnivores are just as dangerous, the only dinosaur you have to watch over frequently is the T-Rex. Development-wise, it's probably wise for Blue Fang to give emphasis on the T-Rex, not only because it's popular, but it would be an absolute nightmare to even try to balance them all. Addressing the mammoth in the room, the dinosaur designs are much left to be desired, since, well, most of them are now outdated in today's day and age. I think my only gripe with this is how they reduce the trike size when you have the expansion installed for some reason. It already looked great when it was a cheat animal in the base games, but now it's just scaled down and desaturated, which is sad. I still find it funny, and you're still placing humongous dinosaurs in exhibits half their sizes. But to give credit where credit is due, it's the only Zoo Tycoon games with sauropods in it, so yeah, that's a win. Speaking of humongous animals in exhibits half their sizes, I'd like to give a huge apology to all of the aquarium enjoyers out there. But I'll be honest, Marine Mania never appealed to me as a kid. But I get the appeal of having cool marine animals in your zoo, and by playing it now made me realize how I took Marine Mania for granted. Since the only features I used were the underwater viewing, the maps, and the cool scenery, but never the animals. The coolest thing to ever happen in this pack, however, is that it already came with Dinosaur Digs. I repeat, it already came with Dinosaur Digs! You get one of the rarest things to see what's happening in gaming, bro. That's like a season pass before season passes, and before the Oblivion horse armor was even a thing. You don't see that in Planet Zoo. Okay, sure, these animals won't really fit in an aquarium setting, and in real life, it would rather be unethical. Mainly because there are literally humpback whales in the game, but hey, it's a video game. Caring for marine animals is pretty much like any other animal in the game, but only with the bonus of tank filters and marine shows, which is a great and entertaining way to earn profit. The orca show's animations really do slap though. I made this orca exhibit a few years back, and I'm vexed that I didn't give this expansion the same love the dev team gave to its creation.
The ultimate zoo has evolved. In Zoo Tycoon's Dinosaur Digs expansion pack, let your imagination go wild. Put modern-day animals in with prehistoric beasts and see what happens. King of the jungle? I don't think so. Easy to get started, works just like Zoo Tycoon, except you gotta hire a scientist to keep your dinos happy. And you can't adopt a fully grown dinosaur. You have to nurture eggs until they hatch. But don't put your eggs in the wrong pen or they may get scrambled. If a normal zoo makes money, imagine what you'll rake in with woolly mammoth, velociraptors, allosaurus, and the granddaddy of them all, T-Rex. The atmosphere is electric, but watch out, if there's a breakout, your guests could be prehistoric hors d'oeuvres. Don't get caught with your pants down. Call out the recovery team. It's the biggest show on earth. Take care of your dinos and keep your guests safe. That's the difference in your zoo going extinct or becoming a Zoo Tycoon with the Microsoft Dinosaur Digs expansion pack.
In the end, Zoo Tycoon is not a game, but rather an idea, a lifestyle, one that people fondly look back to, whether it's a form of a graphical or gameplay standpoint, or just to remember the good old days. Growing up makes you realize that the game of life is challenging and sometimes educational, but only Zoo Tycoon can make it fun. We've seen countless of iterations of our beloved genre, but none of them could ever compete with what Zoo Tycoon was and still is today. Sure, we may have graphical and gameplay superior titles, but Zoo Tycoon was more than that. Zoo Tycoon feels like a memory frozen in time. It's the childhood afternoons building the isometric pixelated zoos instead of doing your homework. It's the joy of chaos, the magic of simplicity, regardless of nostalgia. Zoo Tycoon taught me more about capitalism, animal conservation, and emotional attachment than any textbook ever did so. Games today may be flashier, deeper, or more complex, but nothing hits quite like the original. The best games aren't just played, they're remembered. And if I ever become a Zoo Tycoon in real life, just know it all started with a bootleg CD, a headbanging burger guy, and a dream. Wow. This video took years to make. Thank you so much for sticking till the end of the video. Not that it was getting hard to get all the information, I mean it was just presented to me, but I had to overcome like a few mental barriers just to actually do the work even when I don't feel like it. I mean, there's probably a blooper reel after this and I think it's going to be around 1 to 2 minutes. That's how hard I was having a hard time to talk. I was just talking too fast. It was just crazy, man. So yeah, thank you very much. I love making videos and I love gaming a lot. Since I don't see games as just like a couple of interactive mediums, but I see games more as art forms. So I want to share that love for making videos about video games and quite possibly even movies and music in the future to all of you who have stuck around for this long. So thank you so much and I hope to see you soon.